Hey guys, just your healing homegirl Brandy, and I'm just coming to talk to you guys. This is going to be like the first installment of the series, and one of the things that I wanted to talk about is being an only child but not being an only child. And what I mean by that is I am the firstborn daughter of my parents, of my mom and my dad, but I'm also the only child that they share between them. So I don't have technically any full siblings. All my siblings are full siblings, but I don't have any full siblings myself. So I'm the only child between my parents. I lived as an only child. My life was an only child up until I was probably about almost 7 years old. And then my mom had my sister. And then right after that, she had my brother. They share the same father and the same mother. So I have a unique perspective, I guess, on that. And when I say that, even when I do the personality test and I do and I try to describe my personality, it's kind of twofold because I have a lot of personality traits of being an only child, and I have a lot of personality traits of being the oldest. And it comes through seamlessly. There's nothing I can do about it. There's nothing I want to do about it. It's who I am. It's how I was. And then on top of that, I was, my parents were children. They were teen parents. They were, 17 and 15 when I was born. They were great. They did the best they could with what they had, what they knew. So I don't harbor any ill will towards them anymore because thank God for therapy. Help me to understand and kind of see their perspective. And so, yeah, that's where we at with that. And then on top of that, like I said, there's such a huge age gap between me and my siblings. My sister was born 2 months, no, 3 months, 3 months before my 7th birthday. And then my brother was born 2 months before my 8th birthday. And then my siblings with my father, my brother was born, I think, 6 months before I turned 12. And my baby sister was born 2 months before I turned 16. Me and my sister are literally the exact same age difference than me and my dad. Yeah. So that's that. So I grew up mainly with my mom for my teen years. My childhood years, I bounced back and forth between my mom and my dad. Spent some time in Ohio, some time in Georgia. That's how that went. But as my teen years, like from 12 until adulthood, I pretty much was with my mom. And with that, I came back. Oh, this is going to be a lot, Lord Jesus. This is going to be a lot. This is me just telling my story. This is about to be a lot. So if you're interested in hearing my story, the story of a firstborn daughter who's also an only child, just stay tuned. I guess this is going to be a pro. I don't want to make the videos too long. I'm already at almost 4 minutes. So just stay tuned and we'll come back because somebody can relate to this. I know you can. All right. So chapter 1 of Brandy's life as a firstborn daughter who's also an only child. So we're going to go to when I stopped feeling like an only child. So I moved to Georgia with my dad when I was 8 years old. I was 8 years old. Summer, I was 8 years old. And my dad came to get me for the summer. And I went down to Georgia with him and my stepmom. It was his girlfriend at the time. And she had a son. And so I instantly had a brother. So this is the only time I've ever had a sibling that was like close to my age. I think me and Omar are like a year and a half apart. And we bonded instantly. It wasn't no like, I don't like you. we were instantly brother and sister, and we were literally best friends, inseparable. Hope I can get through this without crying because he's no longer with us. So this is the only time I've ever felt like I had a sibling who was a friend, you know? So, hold on. Okay, I'm trying to get through this part without crying because I miss him. So, me and Omar, we bonded instantly. So, when it was time for me to leave, summer was coming to a close, I was like, I just want to stay because I've always been a daddy's girl. Always been a daddy's girl. So, I was just like, Daddy, can I stay? And he like, yeah, like he never wanted me to leave. Anyway, so cleared it with my mama. I'm sure it, you know, it worked out for her because she still had 2 young kids, you know, that she was taking care of. So taking me off her hands probably was, you know, a help for her financially and everything. So I stayed with my dad. And so I had a good childhood. You know, I had a normal childhood. Me and my brother, you know, we were like 2 peas in a pod. We were latchkey kids. You know, this is the 80s, early 80s. So latchkey kids, you know, 3rd, 4th grade coming home, you know, by ourselves, you know, because my stepmom worked during the day and my dad worked at night. So that's how that went. So we had, really good childhood. Had friends, all of that good stuff. So that's that. Then I decided I'm ready to go back. I'm ready to go back to Ohio. I'm ready to go back. I miss my mama. So my daddy didn't like it. He wanted me to stay with him, but I want to go back with my mama. So he let me go back with my mom. So I go back with my mom. And so I'm about almost 12 years old when I go back to my mother. Like I was literally turning 12 at the end of the year. So I go back with my mom. Totally different lifestyle. Like totally different lifestyle. As far as like in Georgia, I had my own room, you know, all of that stuff. You know, we lived in a house, everything. We weren't rich. My parents, they just worked, you know, so it was just, we didn't have a lot, but we had what we needed basically. So I moved back to Ohio and I moved my mom. So now I'm in an apartment with my mama and my brother and my sister. So me and my brother and sister, we share a bedroom because it's just like, it was like I feel like it was a 3-bedroom apartment. But for some reason we were sharing a bedroom. I don't know, but we were. I remember that. And so we it was different because now I wasn't a carefree kid anymore. You know, before I didn't have any like major responsibilities. I was just a kid. Had to keep my room clean. I had to clean up. You know, we had chores and everything, but I was still just a kid. So then I moved back with my mom, and now I'm responsible and a protector for my brother and sister. And so, you know, take my job seriously, and I'm really big on that. So it's summertime, and there was a Boys and Girls Club at the other end of the street that we lived on. We lived like downtown Cincinnati, and we lived like in a factory district. And so this is like really before crack. So it wasn't majorly any crackheads and stuff, just winos and stuff around because we lived across the street from a park and everything. So kid friendly kind of sort of, but there was a Boys and Girls Club down the street. So my mom took us down there and we joined the Boys and Girls Club. So we did that. And so we go to the Boys and Girls Club every day. So I was responsible for making sure, you know, we got there safely and got back safely. That was, you know, the thing. I was in charge of them. And it was fine. And then my aunt moved in with us. She moved in with her 3 kids. So her 2 oldest kids are like 2 and 3 years younger than me. And then she had a daughter who was like the same age as my sister. And so then I'm responsible for all of them while my mom and my aunt worked. I was responsible for everybody because I was the oldest. So then, like, literally, y'all, this is when I started having anxiety attacks and stuff. And we didn't know what was wrong with me. I would just have like real bad chest pain and stomach pain. Like, to the point I remember my mom had to call the ambulance because we didn't know what was wrong with me. My chest was hurting so bad. And the doctor said it was just growing pains. I was stressed the fuck out. I was responsible for all these kids. And then I would have these really bad stomach pains. Really bad. So then we went to the clinic for that. And had to drink that stuff and everything so that they could, look at my stomach. Because I was stressed. Like, really stressed because so much would happen in that time frame. Like, this summer, so much was happening. And this was just the summer, y'all. Just the summer. And it was like so much was happening. Like, literally, white men following us in their cars while they're playing with themselves. All of this stuff was happening. From the walk from the Boys and Girls Club back to the apartment. Come back. All right, so the summer, I'm back. So the summer it was a very hard adjustment for me. Very hard adjustment for me. And so, eventually my aunt and her kids moved out. They moved out, I want to say, at least by the school year, they moved out. And they just moved up the street. But I was still responsible. So by this time I'm like in 6th grade. So gotta go to school. So the elementary school I went to, it was a decent little walk. And so I was responsible because my sister went to school half a day. So again, I'm responsible for her. So I have to walk with her. I gotta walk her to school with me every morning. Okay? So that's that. And there would be times I remember I would get frustrated because she's little. She got her snowsuit on because I remember it being wintertime. She got her snowsuit on. We have to walk up these steps and she's struggling. And I'm just like, come on, and everything. But, that was my sister, my baby. So, I took care of her. So that was that. So we did winter break. And for whatever reason, I was a child. I don't know all the ins and outs. My mom decided, I think she was in a relationship that wasn't going too good. I can't remember. But we ended up moving. Just decided to move. But the way it works in my family is nobody ever goes into the system in my family, ever. And that wouldn't have even been an option for me. The only option would have been for me to go with my father's side of the family. But my mom, she took my brother and sister, and they went into a women's shelter. And I think she did that because it's easier to get housing or something to that effect. Back then it was. And so she sent me to live with my aunt, one of her sisters. So I do that. So I go from one place to another place. So I go to live with my aunt and her 4 girls. And that in itself was like another adjustment because I've always been like the oddball in the family, like on my mama's side. It's just always been that way. So you got to think, I'm coming back from Georgia. My cousins are just starting to get to know me again. I move in and I talk funny because I have an accent. I talk funny and I'm tall, I'm lanky. It was just not always fun to be there. They jump on me. We were kids. And my aunt, she took me in. So I finished out the school year with my aunt. Graduated 6th grade. My mom came back to get me. and we were living in another apartment. And so we living in another apartment. I had got accepted into a gifted school, an academically gifted school for 7th grade. So to get there, I would have to catch the city bus to get there. Imagine, I'm only like 13 years old, y'all. So this is when I first started catching the bus by myself. So I had to get up early in the morning, still dark outside, and walk to the bus stop by myself. This was so scary because this new apartment, there was a park across from this apartment, but this park was like filled with drunk men and probably crackheads. Back then, we didn't know about crack then, but they definitely was winos. They definitely was alcoholics and homeless men. That was so scary for me. Like, I literally had to change the way I walked and everything because I've always walked with a little switch. That's when I started like literally downplaying myself just to get to that bus stop. So we lived there for a while, and then we moved again. So we moved on the west side to these projects. So we moved to the projects, and again, like I'm helping my mom with my brother and sister. And that's just, for most people, that's just normal behavior. But there was things that came along with that. Like, I had low self-esteem. I was not confident at all. And so I would miss a lot of school. And my mom wouldn't make me go because she needed help. She needed me to watch them, be there. Like, back then, I think we were on welfare, so I think part of being on welfare, you had to go to classes. So if she was in classes and I was home, then somebody be home for when the kids got out of school. So that's how that went. So I missed enough days to where I needed to go to summer school. And I remember I only needed to go for like one class. It was only one class that I needed to take in order to, stay on track with my grade. It was like $50. And she was like, well, I guess you gonna stick this year because I ain't paying $50 for your class. I was devastated because I was always an academic. So I was like, what? So I literally had to repeat 7th grade. And I started the next school year at the regular junior high. I'll be back. Okay, so I had to start junior high at a new school, repeat the 7th grade. So it was pretty cool though, because before I moved to Georgia, we lived on the west side. So when I got to this new school, it was pretty cool because everybody I went to elementary school from my old neighborhood went to this junior high. But the thing is, they're a grade ahead of me now because I had to repeat 7th grade. So that was that. But I made a lot of friends and everything. But again, I'm still irritated because I got to help with these kids all the time. And I feel like none of my other friends had that type of responsibility. They didn't have to take care of their brothers and sisters. They weren't the oldest like me. And it was so frustrating. I'm going to tell you another story. So there was this story was just, ooh, this gets me every time. So one summer, it was one summer, I can't remember. My brother was riding his bike with his friends. And they doing what boys do. They trying to jump, pop wheelies and ride downstairs and stuff. So he does this and he falls and he hurts his leg. Now we all sitting out on the porch. My mama, my aunt, we all just sitting out on the porch because summertime, just kicking it. And somebody run up and say, Leonard hurt, he crying, this, that, and the third. So my mama like, go down there and see what's wrong with your brother. And I'm sitting here like, In my head, that's your son. Go see what's wrong with your brother. So I go down there and see, and he can't get up and he can't walk. I can't pick him up. So I come back. I say, he hurt. He can't. He said he can't walk. She freaks out. You better go get my son. And this and the third. She's freaking out. I'm like, I can't pick him up. So she's getting mad at me, and I'll never forget one of the plastic bats. She started hitting me, beating me with it outside. I was done. I was so done. I'm like, I'm calling my dad, like, I need to come back. I can't do this no more. This is too much. Like, she's done spazzed out on me. I can't do this no more. And so he like, let me see what's going on. Let me find out what's going on. You know, it's only so much he can do all the way down in Georgia. And so we get to the hospital and everything. And of course, he broke his leg. So he got to get a cast on his leg and everything. And she never apologized. My aunt tried to apologize for her. My aunt was like, you know, your mama didn't mean to do it. You know, she's sorry. And I'm thinking, like, man, fuck all that shit. That's what I'm thinking in my head. I ain't trying to hear that shit. Because me and my mama, we allowed in a lot of ways. I ain't trying to hear that shit. I'm not trying to hear that shit. And so it was like, I was so frustrated and irritated because these ain't my kids. These your kids. I didn't have these kids. I didn't even ask for these kids. These your kids. You know, so I was just like, man. So it was like I was constantly always taking care of them. Even when I started working. And I always made sure that I bought them stuff for, you know, for Christmas, to make sure that they had a great Christmas. You know, it made me happy. Like, I literally used to wake them up for Christmas to make sure that they, you know, saw that they had stuff under the tree and everything. I used to get excited to see them so happy with, you know, everything that they get and everything. So, and even when they started going to school, I would make sure that they, you know, I put, you know, try to go like to TJ Maxx or something, Burlington, to get some little name brand stuff for their school clothes or whatever. So I would do, I always took care of them. And to the point where I remember when I finally moved out, I think my sister, she was mad. She was mad when I moved out. But it was like, it was time for me to move out. We were like sharing rooms. I was 19 years old. We were sharing rooms. And it was just time for me to move out. I was out of high school, going to, you know, college, taking classes. It was time for me to move out. And I was one of those, like, I couldn't wait to move out. Like, I basically moved out my senior year. Like, my senior year, I stayed at my aunt's house and went to school from my aunt's house. So I basically was like out of the house since my senior year. And so my sister, she felt like I kind of abandoned her, that I kind of left her. But it's like, I grew up. I had to get out of there. And so, but I always still made sure that they were good. I always made sure they were good. I stopped financially taking care of or supporting my sister and my brother, but mainly my sister. My sister, when she got pregnant, I said, whatever I was doing for you, I got to do for your baby now. So you're done, you know. So that was that. And so it's just like, but I had made a conscious decision when I was 16. I wasn't having no kids because of everything that I had to go through helping my mama with her kids. And then on top of everything, as an adult now, I don't feel like I don't have sibling bonds with my siblings. They still like look at me as like another mother figure or whatever, which, I mean, in some ways they have a certain respect for me, but we're not friends. And I kind of get jealous when I see people who have siblings and they friends, like they hang out, they got childhood memories. We don't have the same childhood memories. The only sibling I have childhood memories with isn't here anymore. So that's that part. I'd come back and give you the story of the other side of my family. Okay, now we're going to come to the second half of the siblings. So now we're going to come to my father's siblings. And I think I'm going to focus more on my sisters because I think that's the biggest takeaway from what I'm going through. And so with my sister, my baby sister, she finally had a blow up with me a few years ago, probably like 10 years ago, and just let it all out. And I totally understood where she was coming from her end, but from my end, I'm like, I ain't your mama. The things that she was upset with me about, were things I don't feel like were my responsibility. You know, I know she's seen her friends' sisters doing that stuff, but there was so many different moving parts with that. By the time she came up to that age, I was in my selfish era. I had finally been freed of being being responsible for my little brother and sister. So I wasn't even thinking, about the other ones. Because by that time, I was in my selfish mode. I'm like, in my early 20s, I'm living. I'm finally living. And I really wasn't even, I didn't really start living until my mid-20s, because from senior year in high school to like 23, 24, I was in a whole living relationship. So I was like somebody's, woman. We didn't have any kids, but you still have responsibilities. So I would go down to Georgia to visit, but I'm literally just going down there for me and my friends to kick it. It's the 90s. We going to Atlanta to kick it, So I would pop in and pop out. And so she, with her being a baby, she got kind of left in the dust with me. Like, she didn't get to experience the nurturing side of me, because by the time she came up, I ain't had no more to give. I just didn't want to do it no more. But the funny thing is, she's the most like me. Like, we're the most alike. I mean, we have a decent relationship now, but again, we're not friends. We're not friends. We're sisters, and we love each other, and we like, being in each other's company. Like, I was just at my parents' house yesterday, and like literally it was just cool just to sit on the couch with each other, not talking about anything, just to share the energy. But yeah, and it's like, I love her dearly. I love all my siblings. I love my sisters. But yeah, so she didn't get the big sister that my other sister got. And I do feel bad for that, because there was a lot of moments that she wanted me there, she needed me there, milestones in her life, I wasn't there. And I know it's not fair to say, but wasn't nobody there for me during those milestones for me either. I didn't have anybody there for me. For my prom, nobody helped me get ready for prom. High school graduation, nobody from Georgia came. College graduation, nobody from Georgia came. So there were things that were dropped for me that, I don't know. I was just thinking about it. Like, I still get sad about that. My parents a lot of times say they never had to worry about me, but I think that's not true. They should have. They just didn't. I just made it look like they didn't have to. I just always figured it out. Because I had to. If I didn't figure it out, who was going to figure it out? Nobody helped me figure out about college. Nobody pushed me to go to college. Nobody pushed me through school, period. I just did it. Nobody said, you better keep your grades up. I just did it. That's just who I was. And so it's like I know my mama, she always say, I didn't prepare her for my brother and sister because they gave her hell. During their teenage years, honey, they gave her hell. I was smooth sailing. I was self-sufficient. And I don't know. I'm still that way. But at the same time, it's like, I don't want to be no more. I'm tired. I don't want to be self-sufficient. Check on me. Make sure I'm okay. Because I'm not okay all the time. But that don't happen. Because I don't ask them for anything. I have a very, very hard time asking people for anything. It's hard. Be back for the last part. All right, back for the last part for the day. So, what me telling you guys all this, this whole firstborn thing and what I went through, and I know what I went through probably isn't as bad as some other people's experience, being the oldest daughter and all of that. But for me, it was hard. What I went through was hard, stressful. Like I said, the anxiety and all of that stuff that I have started at 12. I wasn't even 12 yet. I was 11. Started at 11. And so now, like I said, I have a very, very hard time asking for help for anything. I was telling somebody, just for somebody to give me a ride to and from the airport would be, that would be like, you'll do that for me? I can't ask for stuff like that. Thank God financially I don't need to ask anybody for help for anything, but it's the little things. It's not financial stuff for me. Like, to get me, things that move me are like the small, what you would think would be small acts of service. Those are the things that would get me. Put something together for me. Stuff like that. That's what gets me. You paying for something, that's cool. But if you do something for me, that's going to make sure that I'm good. That's just like, because nobody ever does that for me. Ever. And it's just like, now I'm in this space, and sometimes I feel bad, where I'm kind of like in a selfish phase. Like, I'm just doing stuff for me now. Like, I stopped, like, really celebrating Christmas, because my birthday is a week before Christmas. I was like, anything I was going to spend for gifts for Christmas, I'm doing to celebrate my birthday, because nobody celebrates me. I don't get celebrated. So I have to celebrate myself. Like, I just, this past December, I went to Costa Rica, and I invited my closest friends to come to Costa Rica with me. And they all came. And I was, number one, surprised that they all agreed to come. And they literally all came. We had a fantastic time. No drama, none of that. And it was just like, I was celebrated. Like, literally, we went out. Was that when we went? Then we went on a day trip to another country. We went to like Nicaragua. So when we got back, me and my friend that was in the room with me, we were switching rooms because we were like far away from everybody else. And I wanted us all to be close together. So we were switching rooms. And so I knew that our rooms would have been switched by the time we got back. But when we got there, my room was decorated for my birthday. And I was just like, oh my God, I wasn't expecting it. I was not expecting it. And I felt so appreciated. And it was just like, oh my God, somebody, they cared. They really care. They really like me. That's really how I felt. So yeah, that's my story. Hey guys, it's your girl B, your healing home girl, and I'm here to talk to you guys about something that's a passion project of mine that I've been working on since the beginning of this year. It's just something that was calling at my heart to talk about, and so I decided to start making tools to help get through some things. And in doing that, I learned I need to be vulnerable with my people so they understand where I'm coming from and why I make the tools that I make. So, again, let me introduce myself. My name is Brandy. I am what you would like to call your healing home girl. I am constantly on a healing journey. I have come a very long way, and I am here to help other people come a very long way. I am not a therapist. I am not a counselor. I'm just somebody who's been through some shit. And I know that the shit I've been through, somebody else may have been through something very similar and can relate. So that's where we're going to start at. So stay tuned. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff, baby. We're going to dig deep on some stuff. Might be some tears, might be some anger, be some smiles, and hopefully we'll all come out on the other end in a better state and living our soft life.